CashFlow Diary podcast, episode 452.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the CashFlow Diary podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other CashFlow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the CashFlow Diary podcast. I'm your host, Jay Massey, and I'm glad that you are here today because when it comes down to building your business, there are many components that are required. In fact, there are many skill sets that need to come to the table. More importantly, you must know how to operate, lead, instruct, and win as a team. What's interesting about that is that there are many players on a team, right? And many positions. But one of the most important positions, especially as you're out there building your real estate portfolio, is the property manager. And what it comes down to is finding good ones, making sure that they understand team, making sure that they're on the same side as you is 100% important. In fact, a deal that looks good can be made bad with wrong management. And I know you know this. And you're always looking for the right resources so that you can go out there and figure it out. And more importantly, you want to know how you know you got a good one. And I think today we're going to be able to shed some light on that for you. I have with me today none other than Thomas Smith. He was a starting cornerback in the NFL. And what's interesting to understand and that I want to know is how many of those skill sets transfer? Because I'm willing to bet that you've heard me say before, where you start is not necessarily where you stay. And what you've done in your past will definitely help you inform your future. Because I'm going to take a stab and say that discipline, determination, commitment to learning, and all of these things are necessary in both industries. But most importantly, we're going to hear how he applies them to the real estate game to help his investors go out there and be successful as well. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take some notes. I want you to get ready. I want you to finally know that today is the day you figure out what a good property manager looks, sounds, and feels like when you are interviewing them. Help me welcome Thomas Smith. Thomas, you there?
Yeah. Hey, how you doing?
So far, so good. How are you?
Oh, all is well. Life is good.
That's good to hear. Now, this being your first time here, I want to ask you the same question that I tend to ask everybody that their first time here. You ready?
I guess so. Yeah.
Okay. I tend to look at today's entrepreneurs a lot like yesterday's superheroes. So think Batman, Robin, Wonder Woman, etc. Because I think superheroes and entrepreneurs have a ton of things in common. Chief among them, as an entrepreneur, occasionally I can envision myself flying around the city and county and world, saving my customers. Maybe I'm even dressed up with a cape that day. Also, like a superhero, an entrepreneur has a beginning. If you think about Spider-Man, there was a time where all he was trying to do, he was just going to school, get good grades, taking some photos. That's it, trying to make some money on the end. And then what ended up happening is he get bit by a spider, discovers he's got a special superhuman ability, and he gets to choose, am I going to use this for good or evil? So my question to you is as follows. Before the NFL, before your property management business, before everything that everyone knows you for today, we just simply want to know, who is Thomas Smith?
Wow, that's a good analogy. I haven't thought about it like that. Basically, I'm a small town country boy, basically. I grew up on a farm. I grew up on a farm and, woke up every day early. My father woke me up on the weekends very early to, drive tractors and tend to the farm, tend to hogs. And I basically started doing sports to to get out of doing some of the farm work. Basically, and it didn't really work because I still had to get up early after being sore, playing on Friday nights in high school football and junior high football, and still had to get up early Saturday morning to do my chores. So, but yeah, that was basically the start of my sports. Just try to get out of some of the work that I had to do.
That's
Yeah,
I don't want to do this work, so I'm gonna go play a sport. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's actually funny.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
you said something though that I want to pick up on. You mentioned about getting up early, but more importantly, I when I think farm and growing up on a farm, I think work ethic. And I'm curious to hear your opinion on just the topic of work ethic, and more importantly, how had that helped you either, in your career?
Oh yeah, definitely. Work ethic is definitely important ingredient. My father instilled that into me early, that you're not going to just lay around, look at TV and play video games and, do what you want to do. You're going to definitely, help me out. So, early Saturdays, because we had a small farm. My father worked a day job. He was a welder at the Newport News shipyard there in Newport News, Virginia. But he also we had a small farm that was inherited in the family, passed down and it's his turn to run the farm. And, we had about 70, 80 acres of forest land, as well as we did do hogs at the time. So.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm clear, because you said small farm, then you said 70 acres, and to some that doesn't sound small.
Well, it's a combination of, large is over 1,000 acres, 100 acres, 200 acres. Those are large farms, You got people that have large farms that have over 500 acres. When we say small, it was like between 50 and, 70 acres, but most of it was forest. So we tended about, probably like 30 to 40 acres of it. Rest of it was, forest, trees, and, forest land.
Yeah,
so
sure,
it was covered with trees. And
are those trees being used for paper, or was it just natural habitat type of stuff?
Yes, just natural habitat. I think we let them cut some trees down for paper a couple times, but, it takes, years for that stuff to grow up, and then let them timber it. So. But it was mostly, we only farmed about 30 to 40 acres of it. So it was corn and soybeans. So, me and my brother, we wasn't allowed to, sit around in the house. As much as we wanted to, hang with the other kids in the neighborhood and go play basketball and do certain stuff.
And anything but farm work is basically.
Yeah, anything but farm work. So we had to work, and most everybody in the neighborhood knew about that. And they, we had a lot of guys down the road that would work too and farm. So, but it was great though. It was fun. We just didn't have the tractors that they have now. So we had this little small tractor, and we'd be out there 4 or 5 hours a day. And then it'd be my brother's turn. And so we just rotate on one tractor and just farm all day from sun up to sundown, basically. One tractor.
Wow. That sounds like a very long day, or every Saturday.
Yeah, it gave me a chance to, it actually helped me because it gave me a chance to think and imagine and visualize, and, because on Sundays, we didn't work on Sundays, so we work the evenings after I get off the bus from school and on Saturdays. And, we'll knock it out, and then we'll go from, on Sundays, we watch football and go to church and have Sunday dinner and then watch football. So I had a chance to watch football on Sundays, and that's what I visualized, being a football player or a basketball player. So
okay. So let's talk about this, because many entrepreneurs get inspired early for what it is that they're going to do. And right now I'm finding it a little ironic that you went from not working on Sundays to a career that primarily works on Sundays. Right. You always find that, huh? Those little nuggets there, huh? Yes,
I like that.
I think that's kind of interesting. Like, you're like complete, almost 180 type of thing. So when you were getting that original inspiration, what was it that attracted you to the sport? What did you see that goes, I want to do that?
Well, I mean, just watching it, with my father on Sundays, watching the game and then playing it in the backyard. We played tackle football, among the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was pretty good. I was fast, won all the races in kindergarten, first grade, all the way up to high school. And, I said, well, I can do this. And, we didn't have a Pee Wee team, so we didn't have a little league team. I only started playing football when I was in junior high. So that was 7th grade. And I was pretty good. So I started in the 7th grade at quarterback and wide receiver and, all the offensive positions. Because in junior high, defensive wasn't a big deal. It was more offense.
It was non-existent.
It was non-existent in junior high. So I excelled at all the offensive positions because I was fast and I was athletic. So that's what it started from there. And then I just matured as I got older and got better and better. And, that's how it started.
Yeah, well, and what I find interesting, what's very similar about many of the other entrepreneurs that we've talked to is there's often a parental influence in some way, shape, or form, or something associated with the home environment that begins to either illustrate that, hey, I can do something, or hey, I need to do something because there's a cause or pain that I can help solve. I'm curious, when the idea of playing the sport comes to your mind, either today or back then, was it ever if I can go make this happen, I can help my family? Or was it truly like, I'm just good and this is where I belong?
No, it was truly, I grew up in a small town.
Mm-hmm.
So it was more of, either I'm going to do good in school and get an education so I can get out of this small town, or I'm going to be stuck here. And so it wasn't, my father and mother, had a very strong hand as far as discipline and, making sure I did my homework, making sure I chose right and not wrong, and making sure I stayed out of trouble. So that was the parental influence. Just making sure I make good decisions and stayed out of trouble. Because, back then, discipline was, you don't want to come home and get a spanking, with the belt or whatever form of punishment they use.
Right.
So I made sure I didn't get in trouble in school. Make sure I made the right decision. Make sure I was where I was supposed to be when I was supposed to be. So they had a strong hand as far as the discipline. As far as sports, I just happened to be good at it. And, God-given talent. I was good at it. I excelled. It was fun. It was able to take a break from the everyday chores of, farming and doing that and school and all that stuff. So it just happened to be good at it, and I excelled at it. And as I got better and better, it was a chance that, I could go to the next level. So, but I was always good in academics too. So that helped. I got my classwork out. I excelled. In the 3rd grade, I was a busy person. In the 3rd grade, and they always excelled at doing my work and getting my work out. I remember they tested me, and I had a high IQ, and they had to find more work for me. So they put me in gifted and talented program in the 3rd grade, and at that time I was doing more work than the average student. And with this program with Duke, I took the SAT in the 7th grade and so forth. So.
Nice.
So just a way for me to continue to keep busy, and sports help, keep me busy and keep my mind, at ease. And, it was just something that I was good at. So.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that. Now, here's something I'm curious about, but because you've done a great job, and many of the listeners know that this is something that bothers me, but yet at the same time, I get excited when we find a complete opposite story. We've all heard the story of the professional sports player who, once the sport was over, then a whole bunch of bad things began to happen in some way, shape, or form. And very few seem to make the transition. And we've interviewed, many different organizations that help players make that transition, etc., like Athlife and etc. But my question to you is, why were you able to make that transition?
Well, let me first say that, the transition was tough. I came out on the good side of it as of today, but the transition was tough for me as well. I mean, they didn't have that many programs when I first came out as they do today. Mm-hmm. And when I first retired in 2002, I was going through a divorce, and I was going through like, okay, what's next for me? I thought I was a pretty bright guy, and thought I had it taken care of. And, mm-hmm. At that time, the stock market had crashed. I lost money in the stock market at that time. So the transition was pretty tough. But, with the, how can I say this? With a strong determination, strong-willed person that I am, strong mind, I just turned it around. And, most people can't turn it around. That's why you hear the stories about, people, the different tragedies with different athletes because they can't turn it around. I think most athletes go through that transition period where they're trying to figure it out. They're trying to, figure out what's going on, what's the next step. And, most people have success at the end of that because they keep plugging, they keep moving, they reach out, they seek help. And, and that's exactly what I did. So, and the ones that don't, they don't seek help. So, and that's when you hear about the, the tragedies and the athletes that don't make it, or they turn to drugs, or they go to suicide, or because they just can't take it anymore. And they just feel like there's no way out. And, I've been to that point where, it's been tough, but, I kept going and turned it around and kept going. So
yeah, and yeah, that's one of the major skills that's necessary, and you could say in life, but I was going to say as an entrepreneur, is knowing when it's time for the business, how income is earned, and the skill sets that you need to apply change. And it just seems interesting to me why some can make that change, and it seems like there's no more stark change or challenge except for those that come from a professional sports background to be able to transform themselves literally into something else. When it comes down to it, so let's talk about it. You could have chose anything, like anything. Why property management? Because if you talk to a lot of investors, and myself included, the one thing I don't want to do is property management. I don't want to do that, right? But it's the one thing you chose. So I'm assuming there was a process there that led you to that. What was that?
Well, it was, as anything else in life, I when I was in the league, I was doing real estate. So I've been doing real estate for 18 years now. I started doing real estate. I had invested in hotels. I invested in apartment buildings. I invested in single family homes. I had a mortgage bank. So when I first left the league in Chicago, I started a mortgage bank with a partner. So we was doing subprime loans, and we was doing but I sold my share before the market crashed. I think 2001. So, but I started out with doing mortgage banking. And then I got into hotel investments while I was still playing. I owned an apartment building, 400-unit apartment building. And so I was doing real estate the whole time. I was buying and selling real estate the whole time. Went through a divorce, had to divest a little bit, some of those holdings, and got out of real estate and went into trucking.
Did you say trucking?
Yeah, I did transportation for a while. Yeah.
Okay.
So I've been the classic entrepreneur. It's not really, how I got into it. It's just things have led me back to real estate. I think real estate is it's probably the best entrepreneur game to play because, you can get in it, with little or no money. And then sometimes you can just meet the right person or stumble upon the right deal and off you go. So I basically came back to real estate. And when I came back to real estate, I said, okay, I've done real estate. I don't want to do the flipping and wholesaling, but I want to get back into real estate. Mm-hmm. And I created this vision of how and what I wanted to do, what the grand scheme was. And the first step was property management. I wanted to build the property management. And then from property management, I wanted to do asset management and, do capital real estate acquisition, buying apartment buildings. And so building from one step to the next step to the next step. So the first step was property management. I started researching different franchises and decided on PMI because of their broad spectrum of property management, residential, commercial, and association management. So property management is another facet of real estate that I wanted to get back to and build upon it and create this massive real estate fund, which is property management, asset management, and private equity. So I got the first step, which is property management, learning that, how to manage property. And now I'm going into asset management, which is more of, acquiring real estate and how to do capital improvements to bring value added to the property to create appreciation and wealth. And then the capital side, the private capital side is where I bring a group of people together, investors that are interested in doing real estate, but don't know real estate, but want to passively invest. And we bring those investors together in what you call a syndication, and we buy real estate. And, and through that platform and the asset management and the property management, we help that real estate portfolio grow. So that's kind of the vision. So that's kind of what I was like, okay, that's the down the road plan. So how do I get started? So property management was the first, pillar, basically.
Yeah, totally understood. I get it. And you definitely picked a central pillar, in game. And what I really like about what you just said is you started with creating a vision. And I think many entrepreneurs at times, we can skip that spot. We just want to start, maybe we just want to start with selling something, or we got this idea, but we haven't actually sat down to go, okay, at the end of the day, what would I like this energy that I'm putting out in the marketplace to turn into? But I have a question. What now with the wisdom and apparently this stint at trucking, all of this in retrospect, what would you say that being on a farm, working there, what would you say that playing ball in the NFL, and what would you say that trucking helped you? What are those skill sets? What are those insights that you gain from those other things that are helping you today be successful at what you're doing? Hello there, entrepreneur. This is Jay Massey. I know that if you've ever gone over to the site, CashFlowDiary.com, you may have asked yourself, where on earth do you get a domain name from? Especially as you are beginning to build your bigger, better, badder business, you need a web presence. You need the email address. You need a way for people to contact you electronically so that you can stop doing the @gmail.com game. Well, the good folks over at GoDaddy have definitely supplied us with every domain that we have ever used. So what I want you to do is I want you to go over to trygodaddy.com/CashFlowDiary. Again, that's trygodaddy.com/CashFlowDiary, because it's a quick way for you to get set up to capture your domain name the exact way that you want it. They got easy search functions, and most importantly for you is that you'll be up and running today. As I said, once you get started, stay started. Don't let small little obstacles of how to get your own domain name going stop you. So again, go to trygodaddy.com/CashFlowDiary, and let's get back to the rest of the story.
Well, I think everything builds on everything. I mean, it's like building blocks. Sports. I mean, we all know the analogy. I played a position, cornerback, where, it's always man on man.
Whoa, one quick second.
Okay.
But there might be someone who doesn't actually know cornerback. What is that position? And from your perspective, what is that position in and of itself?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I played man on man, so I guarded, the best wide receiver, and So we always going one-on-one. So it's always a one-on-one game, and you have to have a quick, well, not a quick, but you have to have a short memory. Because, I mean, you can get beat on any play, and you either let that play affect you or go on to the next play. And the same thing in business. Every day is not going to be a great day. You know, you're going to have some bad days. You're going to lose some clients. You're going to have some employees that are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So you have to learn how to
that makes me feel better that yours do that too.
Yeah. You have to go through that adversity and continue to, play at a high level. And that's what I did. That's how you make it from high school to college to the highest level there is. And, playing cornerback, which is I'm on defense. We guard the best wide receiver. Basically we playing against that guy one-on-one, and, he's giving me his best. I'm giving him my best. I'm trying to stop him. He knows where he's going, but I don't know where he's going. But I know his tendencies. I know his, from studying film and looking at him and watching him, what he might do in this situation based on this down and distance and this formation. But same thing in business and trucking and anything else. I didn't do very well at trucking the first time I did it. You know what I'm saying? I started a trucking company that had 2 trucks. I said, man, cause I'm thinking every time these trucks move, they're making money. So I was like, man, I might need to check out this trucking thing. So I bought 2 trucks without understanding the business and didn't do very well at it. So I took a job with JB Hunt, as an operations supervisor with the intention of learning the trucking business for 3 years. So I got promoted and I was in Virginia Beach. I got promoted to Maryland, and then I got promoted to New Jersey. So I learned the trucking business for 3 years, and then I started my own trucking company for 5 years. So I taught myself the trucking company business because it was just fascinating to me. I thought I was going to be a big trucking executive. I mean, I tried to acquire a trucking company in Louisville, Kentucky. This 100 truck operation in Louisville, Kentucky. I put all into trucking, and it just didn't work out. It was just very capital intensive. The drivers are always jumping from company to company. It's a lot of turnover. It just became too much. And I had immersed myself into it. I even, taught myself how to drive just from growing up on the farm. I'm serious. From growing up on the farm, nice. I knew machinery. So I taught myself how to drive trucks over the road and started going over the road with trucking just so these drivers could know that I'm all in. They can't tell me that, well, you've never driven a truck before. Well, yes, I have. I've driven a truck. I've gone over the road. I've stayed the night in the truck. I've done everything on the truck. So I was like, I got my CDL. I taught myself how to drive so that these drivers, because when I first started, these drivers were like, well, he's just a guy just running a truck company with some money. Mm-hmm. He don't know what he's doing. Mm-hmm. So I said, well, I'm going to change that attitude so I can make sure I attract the right people and the right drivers that wanted to, be a part of what I was doing. But, trucking was just too time consuming and capital intensive. And it's just, if you got to at least have 50 trucks or more to really make a dent in this trucking because it's so fragmented, meaning, there's guys with 1 truck, there's guys with 5 trucks, there's guys with 7 trucks. And it's just so fragmented and competitive that, you just got to either go from one level quickly to the next level or just drive yourself. So I mean, but it was a learning experience, and it was very valuable learning experience. So what I learned from that was that sometimes you got to learn to adapt, which I did, and then you got to learn to know when to pivot. And I had to pivot. I said, okay, trucking, this is not what I'm gonna do. It's not lining up for me. It's not coming together like I want it to. So I don't want to spend any more time in this. So I got to pivot and get back to what I know, which was real estate. So that's when I pivot back to real estate and started researching, okay, what do I want to do in real estate? How do I want to grow in real estate? What's my end goal? Mm-hmm. So I started from the end, did my planning, and then, walk the steps out from there. So you start with the end in mind and then work backwards. That's what I was taught from, reading a couple books and in business school. And, so I started backwards, kind of what my end goal was, and then started with property management as my first pillow or first stage in this this grand vision of mine.
Yeah, no, totally understood. And as you were talking, I'm sitting here thinking, when you say that's no different than, coach calling a play from the sideline. He's got a vision of here's the end.
Yeah,
this is what's
right,
supposed to happen. Right.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's exactly. I mean, yeah, when you're game planning, just like game planning for business, game planning for a game, you do your research. In football, you look at the opponent, you game plan according to their tendencies, what they run all the time, what they do in this situation, what they do in that situation, and then you put your game plan together. It's like a chess match. Same thing in business. You do your research on your competition. You do your research on the market. You look at your resources, what you have. You try to recruit people to come along on the vision. Same thing in football. You have your team. You get people to play on the same page, the chemistry, get people playing in concert together. So that's when you win, when everybody's doing their job and everybody's is responsible. And same thing in business. Everybody's doing their job. They're carrying their weight. They're helping the business grow. So
you said a couple of really great things, and I just want to make sure that people hear that the fact that you were willing to take a job to learn, not necessarily to earn. You were like, hey, if I'm going to do this trucking thing, I'm going to go on the inside, gain some knowledge, and then come back to owning it. But something that I think that's even more important than that is that you mentioned during that period, you wanted to make sure it was important to you that the guys knew that you have done what they have done. You've slept in the truck. You know how to drive the thing. You're not just the owner. So that brings up the question, how important, in your opinion, is it for the CEO, the owner, the person to be able to have some working knowledge of those positions so that they can have that credibility, I guess, if you will, with the person who is actually doing that job?
I think it's very important. You have to know that when something goes wrong, you have a kind of a empathy of what's or why it's going wrong. You've been in that situation before. And with the trucking, when a driver tells me the truck broke down because of this, and I'm on the road and this, da da da, I couldn't imagine why, because I'm sitting in the house on the computer and he's on the truck. So I had to get on the truck and find out what really goes on the road, and what really goes on when the truck breaks down, what goes on when, freight is delayed, or why the shipper is not, doing this or that. So I had to, experience, and experience is the best teacher. Words don't teach. More experience is the teacher that teaches. And when you go through an experience, you can relate that experience on how you solve that problem, or how you went about, coming up with a solution. Because if you can't do that, then that's when you're not very good at conflict management. You gotta be able to deal with conflict, deal with adversity, because it's there. The problems are here, or the contrasts are here to help you expand and continue to grow. So without the difficulty, you can't, reach the heights. And that's my mindset anyway. So you use the contrast to help you, expand and grow and learn. And that's all it's here for, because you're here to expand and grow and do what you want to do and make it happen. So,
yeah. Now, I've often held this thought in my head that there are certain people on the planet who have an advantage, an extra advantage when it comes to being a business owner. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this thought, because I've often thought that musicians have an advantage. I've often thought that other artists of most kinds, and I've definitely have thought that athletes have had an advantage. And here's why. And it's specifically because you know how to fail. Because I think learning how to fail, more importantly, fail, get up again, and try again properly, is a skill set that obviously isn't taught except by experience. And I'm just curious if that's something that you see as an advantage for yourself.
Well, I don't look at it as learning how to fail. I think you more look at it as, there's going to be, let me see, what's the word I want to use? There's going to be bumps in the road along the way to what you desire. And it's how you respond to that. It determines whether, you continue on the path or you don't continue on the path. I mean, there's always going to be obstacles because you're always expanding. So there's always contrast or obstacles in the way that have you reach for more. So I don't think it's learning to fail, just more, learning, to be persistent, to be determined, to be, a creator and, to create, as you go along because, what's the word? How am I trying to explain this? You are a creator.
Mm-hmm.
We are creators. So we're able to create in our lives. And in order to create in our lives, there are contrasts that cause you to desire things. So if you are sick, you desire to be well. So with that wellness that you seek, you kind of change either your diet or you exercise, or so it causes you to do something that you wouldn't ordinarily did if you wasn't experiencing that. So it's kind of the same thing in business, athletics, or in life. The contrasts are here to help you expand, to get you on the path to what you desire. And, you don't look at what's already going on. You continue to keep your focus on what's ahead. Because if you look at what's going on, you're going to continue to regurgitate what's going on. You're going to continue to it's just going to keep continuing. You be like, because if you continue to harp on negativity, you're always going to have negativity. And you wonder why you never having positive things happen because you continue to focus on the negativity. So basically your focus is supposed to be on what's ahead, what you want, what you desire, and the contrast or the negativity or the obstacles or the adversity is here to make sure you stay focused on that. Don't get distracted by this. Continue to go forward for that. Because if you talk to most successful people, everybody's been through that adversity, that's highs and lows.
Right.
They say they continue to move forward. They continue. Something happens or they rendezvous with somebody, they meet a person, or they're in the right place at the right time because they continue to move forward and not look at what is going on around them, but they continue to move forward. And that's the same thing in life and football. As I learned as an athlete, I got beat on this play. Okay. I got to go to the next play. The game's not over. I got to go to the next play and play that play. You know what I'm saying? So you got to deal with the now. And sometimes the now is not as where you want to be, but you still have to deal with the now and continue to move forward, continue to plan, continue to move forward, move ahead. And that's what athletes do. We have that mindset that, okay, this guy scored 50 on me. What I'm going to do the next game? You know what I'm saying? Just basketball, football.
Right.
It's all the same thing. So I lost a big client. Just say, well, it just wasn't the right time, or, that client was, removed because something better is on the way. So you always gotta take the adversity or the negative and spin it until, okay, let's look at it this way. This was done because I learned from this. Now move on to this and something better is on the way.
So with that being said, as it relates to being a property manager, what would you say are the things that have allowed you to excel now in managing property? And more importantly, how can we as investors work better with our property managers?
Man, I've learned a lot in this property management. I mean, it is a business in of itself. I thought trucking was like that, but property management is a whole nother business. And it's been a learning experience. It's a lot different from the real estate I've been doing, but it's been a learning experience, and I've had success, learning it. I've immersed myself in it. I've surrounded myself with good people. That's why I did the franchise. I got a good support with PMI. They help me, with the policies, the procedures, the marketing. So it's all that franchise support was very advantageous for me, because if I had done it by myself, it would have been another, spinning the wheels, like what's next, what to do, how to do it, when to do it. But with the franchise model, it has been very productive for me. It's been very advantageous for me with the support and all the materials and resources that they provide. So it's been very good. The business is going very well. I had the chance to purchase another company in Virginia that's doing association management. So with another franchisee that I met, and we came together and bought another business in Virginia. So, we're doing well. We're putting the time in. We're studying the business. We're learning the business every day. It's always something new. We're always expanding. We want to expand. We want to grow. We want to, hire the right people. I do want to get to the point, especially in this Baltimore business, like it is in Virginia, get away from the day to day and kind of, get people in place. So I want to put people in place to duplicate myself so I can work on the business instead of in the business. And, so I want to get more to that, especially in this Baltimore office. In the Virginia office, we have people and we just visit that place, every 2 weeks and strategically, go over the business at that time and plan. But now in the Baltimore market, I am, working the day to day and kind of doing the solo entrepreneur thing, but it's been fun. It's been fun. And, I'm here to stay and this is what I'm going to be doing.
Understood. So, for those that have listened this far and are intrigued by what you've got going on, especially maybe they're looking for property management or they just want to connect to understand more about the Baltimore market, what's going to be the best way for them to catch up with you?
Yeah, man, we have a lot of people that buy real estate and, they want to self-manage and it's a very difficult process.
Don't do that. Sorry.
Don't do it. Yeah. Don't do the self-manage. Trust me. I've taken over for a lot of owners that have done the self-management and it has been a lot of trouble cleaning up that mess. I think for a while there, we were specializing in cleaning up messes because, man, we would get owners that would have problems with tenants and code violations and everything. We had this one owner, it was just disastrous and we cleaned up his whole property. Got the property filled, got the property cleaned up from a maintenance standpoint, from a physical standpoint, from an interior standpoint, and, got the property producing income. Cause that's what investors buy property. They want the cash flow. They want the appreciation. They want the wealth building. And you can't do that if you're constantly turning over tenants, if you're not keeping up with the asset preservation, if you're not doing the maintenance, if you're not keeping an upkeep of that asset, that's what it is, an asset. And, so most people, when they buy it, they think it's going to be immediate cash flow. It doesn't always work like that if you don't run it properly. And that's where we come in as property managers. We help the manager plan, what are your plans? Do you want to own it for 5 years, 7 years? Do you want the cash flow? Do you want the appreciation? And, you can have all of that, but, how are you running your business? How are you finding tenants? Are you finding good tenants? Are there a lot of turnover in your tenants? Are you keeping up with your deferred maintenance? Are you doing your maintenance? What's going on with the property? Are you registered? Are you doing your lead inspection? So it's so much day-to-day activity that you gotta, be on top of. And, people can contact me because, we have the support and the system of the franchise, as well as my experience and my vendors to really take care of your property and, find you good tenants. And, you can get in touch with me at www.pmielite.com. So that's PMI Elite, ELITE.com. That's my website. All my phone numbers are on there. My email, you can contact me through we have a page on there that you can send me information if you inquire about property management. And, we can help you. We can help assess your situation. What you want to get out of investing in, because real estate is supposed to be a, wealth building process, a positive process. And most people make it real, difficult. It can be difficult for people because they're in court all the time, or they lose the property because it didn't cash flow because they bought it too high. And, and now they're not making enough money off the rent because, just the market is just not bearing that amount of rent to cover your mortgage. So now they're upside down and then they lose the property. So, because we can help from beginning to end, before you acquire the property, what's your investment look like, what the market looks like. We can do the market research. We can tell you, how to buy it. And then, help you get tenants and make sure that it cash flows for you. So.
Completely understood. And I appreciate that. Now, as we wind down here, I've got a question for you that I'd love to hear your answer on. Let's pretend for a moment that someone listening, that they're excited. They're like, you know what? I can go through a journey. I can make pivots. He did it. I can do it. And now they're even standing in front of the superhero outfit store, ready to pick up their cape. They're going to try this entrepreneurship thing, and they're going to make it happen this time. Now, like I know, that when those moments of decisions come, often we have another companion, and that companion comes in the form of a voice that often reminds us what we can't do, why it won't work, how tough it's going to be. Who on earth are you to even think about doing a trucking business? Why are you, what are you doing? That voice. And now for some people, they're actually related to that voice. My question to you though is, let's pretend that they're actually going to follow through this time. You know what? They're going to do it, and they're going to do so in the next 24 to 48 hours. What would you suggest that they do?
Oh man, it's a good question. That's a good question. Well, the first thing they got to do is they got to get rid of the voice, all distractors. So, don't pay attention to the distractors. Don't pay attention to the outside voices. Only listen to the inner voice of yourself. Now, sometimes that inner voice will also be a distraction because it'll say that you can't do it because of your doubt, because of your fear and stuff. But the outside voices, you already know, just pay no attention to that. But the inside voice, you have to kind of tread that one a little bit because, there's always going to be a doubt, but that doubt is coming from because of your upbringing or because you're just scared or because of how you was raised or, just previous input that has been over the years that's just been there. And, you just got to get over that hump of that inner voice and say, I can do this. And then you got to prepare. You got to either take, like right now, I'm going to school to get my MBA. You got to get the knowledge base. I've graduated from North Carolina with a business degree, but I didn't use it for 10 years because I was playing in the NFL. I started some businesses, but it's more passive than what I was doing now. So I went back to school to get the knowledge to help better educate myself and run and be an educated business owner. So, because the world has changed. It's more globally. It's a lot more stuff going on than when I graduated from college. So you first get rid of the outside external voices, kind of pay attention to your inner voice. But because the inner voice is not going to lead you down the wrong path. That doubt might be there for a reason, but you got to climb over and say, okay, I can do it. You got to convince yourself, prepare yourself. And then check your resources, make sure that you got the resources to start. Most people wonder how I'm going to do it. I tell people most of the time, don't worry about the how. Just write the plan down. Cause I read in Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, that, just have an organized plan and the how the universe or the bigger, the grand scheme. Some people call it universe, some people call it God. I don't want to offend anybody, but the universe would arrange the how, it'll come to you. Because if you talk to most successful people, there's always a point where they met the right person. They was in the right place at the right time. They rendezvoused with somebody, or they met someone and it just happened. And don't worry about the how. Just write it down, get it organized, and then walk it out. And then the how will come to you as you move through life. And that's how it happened with me. I was a walk-on in college. I didn't know how I was going to play football in college. I had the grades. I applied to different schools. I wrote to different schools. Please take me on your team. It didn't happen. Wow. So I said, I was already accepted to the University of North Carolina. I said, well, I'm just going to walk on. I don't know how I'm going to play. I'm just going to walk on. Hey, I competed. I got a chance to get in. And when I got in, I made plays. I got a scholarship in 2 weeks. So you never worry about the how. The how is if you just have the passion, the determination, and the effort and the will to just want to succeed, it'll happen. That's why I stated earlier that most people, they don't get out of their rut or that transition because, they just don't keep going. They stop. And that's why I always said, don't quit, because that next step might be your turning point. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And most people quit before the turning point happens. And, just don't quit. Just keep going. Do pay attention to that inner voice, because it will lead you. But, ignore all the external voices and prepare and just go after it. I always tell people to go after it. I always went through this saying, I'm going to leave you with this last saying. I want to make sure I get it right. If the opportunity comes, take it. If the opportunity doesn't come, make it. That's it.
Nice.
Yeah. I learned that a long time ago. If the opportunity comes, take it. Go with it. Be passionate about it. Because that's the biggest thing. Passion, enthusiasm. You got to be happy where you at. Because it's always going to be things that are going to be distractions. But just be happy. Just have fun. Just go after it with passion and enthusiasm. And don't worry about the how. The how will take care of itself. That's not your job, is to worry about how. Because a lot of people say, well, I don't got enough money to do this. They always stop themselves. I don't got enough money. I don't know the right people. Just put the plan together. Do your research. Come immerse yourself in it. If you can get, courses or education or get a mentor or somebody to help you, then do that. And then, just put it into action, implement, and the how would take care of itself. I can tell many stories in my life of, I didn't know what was going to happen, but the how showed up every time.
Love it. 100%. Yeah. I definitely appreciate you being able to tie all these things together, throwing trucking at us even out of nowhere. So that was pretty cool. Right. And I definitely appreciate all those things that you've doing. And I'm really glad that you're a positive example out there of those that have made the transition from professional sports to something else. And I thank you for taking the time to share your knowledge, your wisdom, as well as your insight here with us today at the CashFlow Diary, sir.
Well, I thank you for having me on. I really do thank you for having me on. And, anytime, it's great. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to research the show as much as I should have, but I'm glad you had me on, and I appreciate your audience, and I appreciate what you're doing, and, talking to entrepreneurs and getting the word out there and helping us grow and hear our stories. So I appreciate what you do.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's time for you to move at the speed of instruction. What does that mean? That means PMIElite.com. You want to see what it looks like? Go there. Get it done. If you're in that area and you want to put some assets in there, you know a guy who's there. You know what he's been through. You know how he thinks. You know how he works, and you know that he's doing it the right way. But most importantly, I hope you heard some of the last things that he said, because you've got to remember, don't worry about the how. And if the opportunity comes, take it. And if it doesn't come, make it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun talking to you today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.